You can't prevent your husband from betraying you again. Not by checking his phone, not by watching his location, not by memorizing his schedule or noticing every shift in his voice. Checking might help you find information. It might help you catch a lie sooner. It might confirm that something isn't right. But you can't monitor another person into having integrity. And still, once you've already been blindsided, not checking can feel more dangerous than checking. Because every time you consider leaving the phone alone, part of you remembers, the last time I thought everything was okay, it wasn't. That's why you can hate checking his phone and still feel almost unable to stop. And what you're searching for may be much bigger than another message. I'm going to show you why checking gives you temporary relief, but rarely creates lasting peace. You'll understand why the urge can get stronger the more often you check, why finding nothing doesn't necessarily settle you, and what's affecting your sleep, your peace, and the marriage you're trying to save. And before we're done, I'll give you one way to begin interrupting the urge without forcing yourself to trust him, ignoring a legitimate concern, or pretending everything's fine. Because the answer isn't becoming less aware. It's learning that vigilance doesn't have to be your only protection. I'm Soraya Bastian. I'm a yoga therapist and a neurosomatic intelligence practitioner. And I've spent more than a decade helping women recover after betrayal, including 7 years working alongside Dr. Kevin Skinner at Addo Recovery, and helping more than 2,000 women through Beyond Breath. And one of the most common things women tell me is, I hate checking his phone. I hate who I become when I do it, but I don't know how not to. There's a reason it feels so hard. Maybe you don't check every day. Maybe you promised yourself you're done. Maybe you've gone weeks without touching his phone. Then he leaves it on the counter and walks into another room. Before you consciously decide anything, your attention is already on it. You notice how far away he is. You calculate how much time you have. You listen for the shower, the garage door, or his footsteps coming back down the hall. And suddenly, the phone doesn't feel like an object sitting on the counter. It feels like an opportunity you could regret ignoring. Maybe you know his password because access was part of the transparency you agreed on after the affair. Maybe he told you that you could look whenever you needed to. And at first, checking helped. You opened the phone, you found nothing. The pressure in your chest dropped, your stomach released, and for a moment you could breathe. But the relief didn't last. You checked the messages, then wondered whether something had been deleted. You checked social media, then wondered whether he had another account. You checked his location, then wondered whether he left his phone somewhere. You checked the phone bill, email, search history, deleted messages, blocked numbers, apps, and battery usage. Every answer created another possible place to look. Eventually, even finding nothing stopped feeling reassuring. Instead, your mind said, he knew I might check. He's gotten better at hiding it. I didn't look in the right place. There could be another phone. You put the phone down, but you don't feel finished. You feel like you've missed something. And even when you aren't physically checking the phone, you may still be checking him. Why did his tone change? Why did he take the phone into the bathroom? Why was he 10 minutes late? Who made him smile? Why did he put the phone face down? Why is he being especially affectionate tonight? You're watching ordinary moments because betrayal taught you that ordinary moments can hide an entirely different reality. You're not doing this because you're naturally controlling. You're not doing it because you enjoy searching. You're doing it because not checking feels like giving danger another chance to surprise you. But what's preventing another betrayal becomes your job. You could never clock out. You have to notice everything, remember everything, interpret everything correctly, catch every inconsistency, ask the right question, look in the right place. And if you miss something, you don't only fear what he might do, you fear what it will mean about you. How could I have missed it again? How could I have believed him again? How could I have been so stupid? That's part of what makes the phone feel so important. You're not only trying to find out what he's doing, you're trying to make sure you're never the woman who doesn't know again. But that job is pulling you out of your own life. You're at dinner, but part of your attention is tracking him. You're with your children, but one notification changes your entire mood. You are lying in bed, but instead of resting, you're thinking about where the phone is. You're trying to be intimate, but part of you is remembering, comparing, and bracing. It rages for you, and instead of receiving the affection, you start examining it. Why is he being so loving? What does he want? Is this guilt? Is he trying to distract me? You may deeply want the marriage to survive. You may want closeness, affection, laughter, sex, safety, and the feeling that you're actually married again. But it's hard to participate in the marriage while you're standing guard over it. Vigilance may help you find information. It can't create the marriage you want. And this isn't about becoming calmer so life will be easier for him. His affair has already taken enough from you. It doesn't deserve your sleep, your focus, your joy, your time with your children, your ability to feel present in your own body, or every remaining moment of the marriage you're still hoping to rebuild. You may have tried solving this with more access, phone passwords, location sharing, regular check-ins, open devices, clear agreements. And some of that transparency may be completely appropriate after a deception. His honesty matters, his accountability matters, his willingness to be open and consistent matters. But access can give you information without giving you the guarantee you're actually searching for. You may have tried more reassurance. You ask whether there's anything else, whether he's hiding something, whether he still wants the marriage, whether he promises it will never happen again. His answer may settle you for a while. Then another trigger appears and you need the reassurance again. You may have asked more questions about the affair. You may have gone back over the timeline, searched for missing details, or returned to the same conversation because you hoped the next answer would finally make everything feel complete. Questions can be necessary. Truth matters, but at some point, the question may no longer be asking only for information about the past. It may be asking the answer to guarantee the future, and no answer can do that. You may have tried forcing yourself not to check. You move away from the phone. You distract yourself. You tell yourself to stop being obsessive. But then you spend the next hour fighting the urge. You may not be holding the phone, but the phone still has your full attention. That isn't freedom. It's the same pattern happening silently. And maybe you understand all of this. You've gone to therapy. You've read the books. You understand betrayal trauma and hypervigilance. You know checking isn't rebuilding trust. But when the phone lights up, all that can disappear. Your body reacts before your reasoning has a chance to catch up. Now, that doesn't mean the work you've done was useless. It means understanding the cycle isn't the same as being able to interrupt it while it's happening. And this is the part most women have never had explained. Here's why checking can become so difficult to stop. Something creates uncertainty. Maybe it's a notification, a delay, a change in routine, an intrusive thought, or simply seeing the phone sitting unattended. Your body sounds the alarm. Your chest tightens, your stomach drops, your attention narrows. You feel an urgent need to know. So you check. And when you find nothing, the alarm decreases. You feel relief. But your body doesn't necessarily conclude there was no danger. It may conclude checking is what protected me. And that distinction changes everything. Because the next time uncertainty appears, your body remembers what lowered the alarm last time. Checking the phone. Look at the location. Ask the question. Search for proof. And when checking lowers the discomfort again, the cycle gets reinforced. Uncertainty, alarm, checking, relief. Then the next urge feels even more convincing. That's why the relief can get shorter, while the list of places you need to search gets longer. You aren't only checking because you want information, you're checking because it changes how you feel for a moment. It gives you a temporary sense of control over something that once happened completely outside your control. It makes you feel less exposed, less naive, less likely to be the last person to know. But the phone can't answer the question underneath the checking. It can tell you whether there's a message in the place you searched. It can't tell you, will I ever be blindsided again? Can I safely relax? Will I recognize the truth next time? Can I trust myself? Will I be okay if something happens? Those are often the questions you're asking the phone to resolve, and because it can't answer them, the urge returns. This is the impossible assignment betrayal quietly handed you. Never relax enough to miss something again. It sounds protective, but it requires you to live as though danger is always one overlooked detail away. That's why stopping the checking isn't just about self-control. Your body believes checking is helping to keep you safe. The work is helping your body discover that you have other ways to remain with yourself when uncertainty appears. Not blind trust, not denial, not pretending the affair didn't happen. A different kind of protection. The kind that says, I don't have to know everything in this exact second to remain connected to myself. I can feel fear without immediately disappearing into investigation. And no matter what another person chooses, I won't abandon myself. That's the safety the phone has been trying and failing to give you. The next time you feel the urge to check, don't begin by telling yourself you aren't allowed to. You don't immediately start debating whether he's trustworthy. Ask a simpler question. Am I looking for information or am I looking for relief? Sometimes you may have a specific concern. Something happened and there's information you genuinely need. But sometimes the phone has simply become the place your body believes it can make the feeling stop. So pause and ask yourself 4 questions. First, what happened immediately before this urge? Was there a notification, a delay, a change in behavior, an intrusive image? Or did seeing the unattended phone create the urge by itself? Second, what am I hoping to find? A specific answer? Proof that nothing's wrong? Proof that you aren't naive? Permission to relax? Third, if I find nothing, will I feel finished? Or will my mind immediately create another place I need to search? And fourth, can I stay with myself for 2 minutes before I decide what to do? Not forever, not for the rest of the night. 2 minutes. Feel your feet against the floor. Notice where the urgency is showing up in your body. Look around the room and remind yourself where you are. Then say, I don't have to solve my entire future in this moment. You may still decide there's information you need. This isn't a rule against checking. The win isn't whether you touch the phone. The win is that fear doesn't make the decision before you've had a chance to choose. You remain connected to yourself long enough to have a say in what happens next. One woman inside Beyond Breath described what she called a paranoid frenzy. She checked her husband's phone. She tried to access his email. She said her thoughts revolved around finding the next opportunity to search. At one point, she even locked him outside while his phone was inside so she'd have time alone with it. I'm not sharing that to shame her. I'm sharing it because betrayal can drive intelligent, capable women into behaviors they barely recognize as their own. What changed wasn't that someone convinced her to trust him blindly. She didn't lose access to the phone, and she wasn't given a guarantee that another betrayal could never happen. She became able to notice the pattern before it took over. She could see the unattended phone and pause. She could recognize that the opportunity itself had activated the old fear. instead of disappearing into another secret investigation and losing the rest of the day. She could stay connected to herself and choose what she wanted to do next. She didn't become less aware, she became less controlled by the urge to search. And that freedom affected more than the phone. Her life and marriage were no longer organized around constant investigation and reassurance. She could be more present. She could participate in her own life again. She described her marriage as thriving. Not because she became naive, because she was no longer asking surveillance to create the peace, confidence, and connection it had been taking away. Checking his phone is only one place this larger betrayal cycle can show up. The same alarm may sound you into repeated questions, replaying the affair, studying his moods, comparing yourself to her, preparing for another discovery, even when nothing's happening. And you can't fully change that cycle by becoming better at arguing with your thoughts or forcing yourself to stop a behavior your body still believes is protecting you. You have to work with what happens before the checking takes over. That's what I explained in the free Beyond Breath Masterclass linked below. I'll show you how the betrayal reset helps you stop living as though another betrayal is always about to happen, without ignoring red flags, forcing yourself to trust him, or making your healing dependent on his perfection. Because you can't prevent another adult from making a destructive choice. But you can stop giving every remaining hour of your life to the job of trying. You don't have to trust him blindly, and you don't have to spend the rest of your life standing guard. Watch the free masterclass below.